as Dayvid Figler said it best at our live show, if you've lived in Las Vegas for a while, you're probably familiar with the kind of grief that comes from finding a restaurant or cafe that you love and then seeing it close. But Vegas is always growing. Inevitably, a new place comes along, and sometimes it's actually good. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, Dayvid and friend of the pod, Brent Holmes, talk about their favorite extinct restaurants and the new ones they go to now to get the dishes they love. It's Thursday, July 6th. I'm Vogue Robinson, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about.
Brent Holmes, welcome back to CityCast Las Vegas.
Oh, it's a privilege and a pleasure, of course.
So, Brent, why do you think that we here in Las Vegas get so attached to restaurants and mourn them when they're gone?
Well, Las Vegas is a transient city to begin with, and I think if you're here for kind of a long haul, 10 or 20 years, you start discovering dining out in the city at a certain point. And those early favorites become really, really important. And then, regrettably, inevitably, the thing you fall so passionately in love with disappears.
Yeah. And Brent, I don't know, and we're both very longtime Las Vegans, and I don't know if this is true anymore, but it used to be a deal of gratitude when a new place would show up that really captured your attention to the point of admiration and then devotion and then, of course, grief when it finally or inevitably closed.
Well, I don't know if anything is as sacred as it used to be. It used to be like, oh, look at this precious little gem, and we'll never get food that good again in this town, so we better support it and love it and go there every weekend. And
exactly.
And now I think that there's so many excellent options for cuisine that it doesn't feel dangerous.
The hurt's not as deep.
It's not. It's just simply not.
Because there's going to be something good, we assume now that's going to come, but it doesn't diminish the fact that we do get nostalgia for a lot of places that have been. So let's talk about a few of our favorite restaurants that have closed in Las Vegas, but let's do a little twist on it, right? I'm going to ask you to tell us where we can fill the hole in our heart and find a almost as good replica of the dishes that we're missing. What's first on your list?
Let's start with a recent one. Let's start with Potts. Rest in peace. They were an amazing vegan Egyptian cafe with incredible options. They kind of did an Egyptian street food thing, but they had like really, really luscious date milkshakes, but of course they were almond milk or oat milk or whatever. And they had just bomb falafel. And they would floor me every time I go in. It was cozy. It was a nice, comfortable place. It felt like home. The owner was almost there every other time I went in. And she was also just so terrific to interact with. And it really was a great thing for the vegan community and also just exceptional and really great Mediterranean food. Just incredible.
Okay. And so where would your, analog to that be today?
I mean, technically they've been around as long, if not longer, but Amina Cafe, they make a great chickpea falafel. It should be noted. Egyptian falafel is made with fava beans, whereas other Mediterranean falafels are typically made with chickpeas. So you're not going to get the exact flavor you got at Potts, but Amina Cafe is pretty gold standard for quality Mediterranean food. They make beautiful, light, fluffy, intensive falafel. They're kind of a perfect bite. And I've been going there for as long as I've been going to Potts, if not longer. So,
and that's Amina over there on Charleston and Decatur, yeah?
Yeah, Charleston, Decatur, right there. Yeah.
It's funny that your first pick was Mediterranean food because that's mine too. And I have a different one and a different sort of replacement, which is interesting. So there used to be this hole in the wall. And when I say hole in the wall, I mean really a hole in the wall So we're talking circa 1998, 99, somewhere around there. A spot called Cave de Roy opened up in the lobby of the Oasis Adult Motel on Vegas Boulevard. This was a one-man show. It was a Lebanese man who had spent his career as a UPI reporter who traveled around the world, including Argentina. And he had all his family recipes, and he didn't drive. So he had a friend drive him to California to go to farmers markets every weekend, and he'd come back with a stock of stuff. And so you'd see hanging eggplants inside this little space, and he would make homemade kibbeh, and he would make labja, and just all this amazing stuff. He had a rose-infused iced tea. He had homemade baklava and cheesecake. Kibbeh is a mixture of ground beef and bulgur, which is that cracked wheat. It's stuffed with onions and pine nuts and has all these wonderful spices. I've been looking high and low for a great kibbeh since then. And the kibbeh I've sort of found is over at Hadari's. I mean, it's not exactly the same as kind of sitting down with the owner and getting schooled in backgammon.
That's always so important when you really fall in love with a restaurant, and then you start to get to know the people that run the place.
Yes.
And that's when it becomes, you become part of the community, they become part of your community. And that's a hole in your heart you can never really fill. But as an aside, that's one of the things that makes having favorite restaurants, places that you really, really love, so special, right?
Oh, yeah. So, Brent, what's number 2 on your list?
Number 2, maybe the biggest hole in my heart, is the Hainanese chicken over at Flock and Fowl. I know. Flock and Fowl, whether it was the tiny little hole in the wall in Sahara that they had, or when they transferred over to the Ogden,
yeah,
for maybe a slightly more upscale digs. It wasn't just the Hainanese chicken. Every single dish that Sheridan Sue put out was beautifully constructed, incredibly well thought out, and he really had that magic touch. He and his wife Jenny became a big part of people that I love in Las Vegas, but the quality of the food was always so high and so incredible. And that Hainanese chicken was I'm going to use the term dank here. I mean, it was some pretty dank chicken for, really essentially what is a place of rice and chicken. Those guys hit it out of the park every time and became major local favorites. And regrettably, it didn't last.
Yeah, I agree with you on Flock and Fowl. Just as simplistic as that is, it was always so great. And I remember also getting that with this amazing sort of scallion garlic sauce that went on it. And I've been trying to find that flavor sensation anywhere else. So where do you go missing Flock and Fowl, Brent? I mean, what could possibly match that?
Some part of my heart is weeping because there is no genuine answer. On the other hand, if I need a good Hainanese chicken rice, I can go over to the Banana Leaf Cafe, and they do it right. It's quality Malaysian cuisine. They also make some really nice curries. It's right there on Spring Mountain in Shanghai Plaza, and everybody loves it over there these days. And they make an excellent chicken rice. Is it the same as Flock and Fowl? No, but it's certainly a great representation of that dish and the flavors that you're looking for.
All right, what's your next one, Brent?
My next one's a little off the beaten path. Out in North Las Vegas, there was a great kind of greasy spoon drive-through called Megatom's, and they were just a stone's throw down from the now non-existent Texas station. And I would ride.
Everything goes, Brent. Everything goes. Even giant casinos.
I know, David, but anyway. Anyway, Megatom's was like literally a hole in the wall. It was a little slice of nothing, but they made a breakfast burrito that was just to die for and a killer salsa. And I would get up in the morning and I'd run errands. And if I was on that side of town every time, it was my favorite. I don't know. It was something between the way they composed their eggs and the cheeses that they used and that little extra kick of the salsa that they incorporated that just was heavenly and just sent me over the edge every single time. They disappeared during the pandemic like so many other wonderful little spots. And so now I have a 2-part solution to that hole in my heart. The 1-part solution is go over to Filipitos. They are a great Mexican restaurant. My favorite one's over on Tropicana and Maryland Parkway, right there on the corner.
Okay.
And they make an incredible breakfast burrito. They make an amazing chili relleno burrito. The price is right. It's fully loaded. It's not quite the same flavors, and the salsa is definitely very different, but I absolutely adore what they do. If you are feeling a little bit more adventurous or up for a drive, Mega Tom's was actually part of a chain called Tom's Burgers from California.
Oh,
and
I had no idea.
Yeah, and Tom's Burgers, there is one in Barstow. And they make the exact same breakfast burrito with the exact same salsa that I love and crave on a regular basis.
But that's a little bit of a hike.
It's a bit of a hike. It's a bit of a hike, but when we
just for breakfast.
When we talk, yeah, I know. But if you're on your way to LA and it's early in the morning or late in the afternoon and you're feeling yourself, I really do recommend to stop through because I'd hate to see that place disappear. That would be my solution for Megatom's. Dave, what about you, man? What are you like really missing?
Well, I'll tell you, I was thinking about all the dearly departed places. And Brent, I'm telling you, I could do a list of 20 or 30 places in as long as I've been here that just aren't around anymore that I super duper miss. One always comes to mind, and that is Rosemary's.
Oh.
Do you remember Rosemary's
David,
over on Sahara?
David, that's... Rosemary's, like, there were very few culinary names that are hallowed in these halls up here in inside of the Brent Holmes, but Rosemary's was a special place, especially at a time when you really couldn't find dining of that quality in this city. Certainly not off the strip, certainly not community based, and that place turned into family for me. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I think so too. I think it was like, if not the first, definitely one of the first prominent situations where a chef, in this case Michael Jordan, who was trained on the strip he was over at Emeril Lagasse's New Orleans Fish House at the MGM for a long time. And then they just like, you know what? We love this community. We're going to go in. We're going to open up a place that brings our food to the fore. We always used to sit at the bar, which is like my favorite thing to do, and just go into that menu. And that menu is pretty consistent, right? But one of the things that I love so much on that was they had this arugula and Granny Smith apple salad that was on top of dry-aged carpaccio beef. The killer diller in that was this Maytag blue cheese with candied walnuts, and there was like a little port wine drizzle on it. I mean, this was the dish of dishes.
I can taste it right now, David. That was a hell of a salad, and I almost feel like it's an insult to refer to it as a salad.
Right. I mean, it was carpaccio, which was not my jam until Rosemary's. I have an equivalent, both in experience and like the whole thing, and it's probably an obvious to a lot of people, but it's Esther's. It's the Esther's location downtown, right there off of, Main Street and California. And, the whole idea of James Trees, who came off the strip as well, like gets into the community, sitting at the bar is the great experience, engaging with the bartenders. And while they have a seasonal menu and it changes all the time, right now they have an Aussie Wagyu beef carpaccio. And, it's really interesting. It's different, obviously, from the Rosemary's. It is charred and pickled mushroom and basil aioli and a heaping of McGrath mustards.
Ooh, yes.
So definitely taking carpaccio to another level. I do have a very similar experience, that feeling of family, that being in your special place, that sort of lineage taken to a new level in Las Vegas. And I think everyone will miss Rosemary's who got to experience it. But Esther's is definitely that kind of like, okay, we're going to be all right here in Las Vegas.
I was just thinking that we're really, really so lucky to be in the era we are. We have incredible well thought out kitchens from chefs that are willing to take that risk and hop off the strip and serve their community. Rosemary's was absolutely the forerunner in that. And now you can throw a rock and hit kind of a really cool project by a local chef. And, something like Main Street Provisions just up the street. And Esther's also took that big risk and doing it downtown. And now I really want to go because like my tummy's growling. And anyway, yeah.
Yeah, my tummy's growling too, and my brain is reeling from nostalgia. All right, I think we got time for one more, Brent.
Last one.
What's the last one that you miss, and what's the place that you go to now?
I mean, the last one has got to be in the historic West Side, the Seven Seas. And I don't know if you ever made it over there, David, but
I did.
Man,
I did.
The Seven Seas.
That was there. That was a legend place for a long time.
Legendary, right? And they shuttered. I think over 5 years ago now, but I still miss the fried catfish. It was the place to go. And if you immigrated to Las Vegas from anywhere where soul food was part of the culture, the Seven Seas was the reliable source for those flavors. Everything from like just perfectly smoked barbecue to a prime rib sandwich that kind of like beat you over the head with flavor to, and notably, really relatively inexpensive place to go. Really at a service community. But of course, my favorite thing there was the fried catfish, which is just, a deep cut of soul food eating, and nobody did it like them. Nowadays, there's a lot more soul food. There are a lot more great options. There's a lot more food in North Las Vegas and on the historic West Side in that area. So, I mean, since the Seven Seas is no longer with us, I can pretty strongly recommend Grits Cafe. They're over on Lake Mead and MLK, and they do a killer chicken and waffles. They do, that like stick to your ribs, real food, but the fried catfish there, it is fresh and poppin', light and delicious and completely fulfilling. And now like my brain is literally like, if you get in the car, you can be there in 15 minutes. And
am I going to lose you right now?
I might head out. I might just have to go over to Grits Cafe for breakfast. It's early enough in the day. I love nothing more than like some scrambled eggs and some fried catfish on a plate together.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the Grits is a real one. They've been around forever. And as much as, I miss the Seven Seas, it was also towards the end there, not maybe the most.
It was a little rundown.
It was, not maybe the most welcoming place. So Grits keeps it, pretty high and tight, and that's respectable on a different level too.
One theme, and it's not for all the places that we mentioned, but quite a few hole in the walls, which is really not as prevalent as it might have been in Vegas past. But I'm also hopeful with this conversation that the sting isn't going to last as long or be as hard, I think, as we mentioned, because there are so many interesting folks bringing so many different and interesting sort of foods to our valley. And that's something to celebrate.
Absolutely. And we really do have a great culinary scene to celebrate at this point. Folks, get out there and eat, please. And create those memories, create that nostalgia. And sometimes things you love are going to fade away, of course, but build those things, because you're not just building a rapport with, your friends and your family on places that you like to eat, but you're building a rapport with those restaurateurs and with the culture and the community at large.
Yeah, hear, hear. Well, Brent Holmes, per usual, always fun talking about food and culture and all the points in between with you here on CityCast Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, David. I really appreciate it. I love talking about anything with you.
Before you go, a few things you should know. More than 100 fires were reported across the valley yesterday after the 4th of July, with one causing an internet outage in East Las Vegas. This is why we can't have nice things, y'all. As of Wednesday, all fireworks are illegal again in Clark County. Also, back in May, Governor Lombardo signed a bill that makes it a felony to threaten and intimidate election workers. This is in response to the intense harassment that poll workers have recently faced. Now, 4 previous election observers have filed a lawsuit to block it. We'll see if it gets any traction. That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Do you have a favorite restaurant or coffee shop that is now closed? Tell us about it. And if you found a semi-replacement, text or call us at 702-514-0719. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Sure. So you do a loop through the outlet mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get yourself a
go
pair of
into the
jeans.
McDonald's station.
Yeah, go
and
look
then
at
shoot on back home.
Yeah, or
maybe buy some lottery tickets.
Get definitely buy some lottery tickets. This time you're going to win, I promise.